Howdy, folks. I'm Lyrical Lithium, languidly launching liverwurst lunches.
I'm Amber.
And here are more liverwurst lunches for us to launch. Alright, folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Making My Son's Birth Mom Move Out Once the Adoption Was Finalized? For the past 7 years, my husband, a 43-year-old male, and I, a 37-year-old female, have been trying to have children. But we've been unsuccessful, as we've been to a specialist and have been assured that we can't have children. Our hearts were broken, and since then, we've wanted nothing less than to become parents and have something to call our own. Well, last year we decided that we would volunteer helping at a foster home and helping the youth and young adults that were struggling with homelessness. While doing this, we met our son's birth mother, a 19-year-old female. She was pregnant and struggling with homelessness, and we offered to take her in, help her with her maternity clothes, healthcare, transportation, and with doctor appointments, etc. She took us up on this offer and moved in. And that's when she began telling us that her child's father wasn't in the picture and that she had no way to provide for him. She didn't know what she was going to do and had no job or way of caring for him. She was 20 weeks pregnant around this time. As our bond grew, we told her our struggles with having our own child and told her that it would mean the world to us to have a child as we are financially stable and a loving family. We offered to adopt him and to have her be a sister figure to him. We told her that this was completely her decision and that we would support whatever she wanted. After a few weeks, she told us that she wanted to adopt him once she gave birth, and we agreed to an open adoption. We thanked her, and we supported her in every way that she needed, and she also had her own room in our home. Fast forward, she gave birth to our son, Aiden. I was there for the birth, and our bond was unexplainable. Shortly after, the next morning, she signed off the adoption papers and terminated her rights. We then took him home along with her. About 2 weeks after his birth, she became overly clingy to our son. We explained that he was ours, and she was welcome to help him, but he was my son, and I would make all the decisions regarding him. This upset her, and she felt hurt. So we ultimately asked her to move out, and once the adoption was finalized, we haven't had any contact with her since. We decided to close the adoption, and we've asked her not to contact us any further. His birth mother thinks that I'm the jerk and accuses me of manipulating her with false pretenses. However, this is not true, and Aiden is our son, and I'm his mother, so I have to do what's best for him. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yes, jerk doesn't go far enough. What OP did is unconscionable. It's very clear that despite what OP says, she never cared about this woman. She only saw her as an incubator because if they had such a deep bond, you wouldn't just throw her out with the first sign of conflict.
Yeah.
You would go to family therapy or something like that because, adoption is a difficult process.
Yeah, especially if you're the birth mother living in the home at the same time as the kids being raised. And I think that a family therapy could have been a really good way of addressing this. And to kind of go back to the whole manipulation stuff, I have a feeling that OP and her husband volunteered at this place, at this shelter, with the explicit purpose of hunting down a vulnerable person that they could convince to give them their baby.
Oh, 100%. And my only hope is that someone who works at the place they were volunteering sees this and is able to do something about it. I know it may technically be illegal, but this was not informed consent. It was a bait and switch. They promised, oh, you'll get to grow up in the same house as him, be like a sister to him, all this stuff. And then as soon as she starts having maternal feelings, which is very normal for someone who's just given birth, you're like, nope. Out onto the street you go.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it was something like she wanted to feed the baby and OP was refusing to let her do that even. Which, I mean, even siblings can feed children, right? I imagine it's like she was probably saying and doing things that were probably pretty normal for someone in a sibling role to do because it takes a whole house to raise a child, right?
Well, and honestly, even if she was doing more maternal things, there's nothing wrong with that because she gave birth to this child. She is still the mother, even if not legally. She still has those maternal feelings. And I know OP wants to be like, this is my child. But no, you stole this child. It may have been technically legal, but she was not in a position to give consent.
Yeah, I don't feel like OP ever had any intention of keeping the mother around. I think that this was a matter of they had this all planned out. They were going to find someone vulnerable. They were going to adopt them. They were going to gain their trust, win them over, and then as soon as it was convenient, kick them out.
Exactly, because it's just an incubator for a child. Like, they never cared about her as a person. It was just, oh, well, this is how we get our kid.
Yeah, and then now that they have the child, what's going to happen is they're going to start going to the foster care less and less and be like, oh, sorry, it's just so much work taking care of a child.
Yep.
And then it's slowly going to be one of these things where it was like they were there for a couple of months and then suddenly they're not there anymore.
Yeah. Well, and this whole nonsense of it too about, oh, I'm only doing what's best for my son.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing what's best for this child, OP. You know, children who are adopted often have a lot of questions about their birth families. And to introduce this extra layer of trauma, like,
I mean, what happens when they find out in the future, right?
Yeah, like, there's a good chance in this day and age that his mom will find a way to reconnect with him someday. And, like, do you want to be the one who, like, he finds out ripped him out of his mother's arms, essentially?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when in, 13 years, 15 years, 18 years, when your child eventually decides to go ahead and find their birth mother, that you're going to be painted in a very bad light by this woman. She's going to not have a very high opinion of you and tell the true story about what happened. And then what's going to happen? What are the consequences of that going to be?
Right.
Like, your plan is short-sighted because eventually the truth does come out in these kinds of things.
And I just hope that Aiden is discerning enough to realize that you are the monster in this situation. Because I'm sure OP, if they even admit he's adopted, will paint her as some horrible person who couldn't give him a good life, and they were swooping in to give him everything he deserved. It's nonsense. OP, you are the villain.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care, and good luck to the birth mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Popular Drink Lemonade says, "You're not the jerk, you're evil. You found a young woman facing incredible obstacles, brought her into your home, groomed her to give up her child on false pretenses, and then slammed the door in her face. You lied to her about access that she would have to her child. You stole that child. You deserve the absolute worst." And Cold Cheesecake 2804 says, "Exactly. What OP did is straight up evil. My heart goes out to that poor girl. It makes me so sad to think about what she must be going through. Homelessness, got her baby stolen, postpartum, betrayal, absolutely breathtaking." B Art Account says, "The fact that OP waited till she was in their home and being taken care of to propose the adoption. OP knew that she wouldn't be able to say no."
Yeah, well, and that is the sort of thing, is when someone else has that much power over you, like, what do? You don't have a choice or a say.
And I know she was painting this as, oh, it was completely voluntary, but there was probably a part of her that felt like she had some level of trust, but then there was also the power dynamic of, like, well, if I say no, will they let me stay here? Will I have any place to raise my child? They're going to be angry at me for saying no, right?
Mm-hmm. And
some people are people pleasers too, right? And so she may not even wanted to say no to them because she didn't want to let them down or disappoint them.
Yeah, well, if they're acting all nice and like they're the first people who really care about her, like, that's the other thing that gets me, is just like how deeply this has to hurt to have someone who you trusted just go and betray you like that. Yeah. It's unconscionable.
It is. It really is. And Puzzle-Headed Cut 4588 says, "Absolutely evil. You took advantage of a young mother and manipulated your way into stealing her child and then shutting her out once you got what you wanted. How can you live with yourself? I hope that the young mother gets a lawyer and you get what you deserve. There should be criminal charges for you stalking the foster system so you could find a target to prey upon."
Yep.
And Rude Mathematician 27 says, "As an adoptee, you're the jerk. The way that you treated this poor girl is disgusting. I truly hope that once your son grows up to the legal age that he can search for his birth mother and find out the truth of what you did. By the way, closed adoptions mess the child up. I know because it happened to me. Shame on you." All right, folks, our next letter is titled, "Boyfriend concerned about my sexual history. I am a 31-year-old female, and my boyfriend and I have been together for a couple of years now, and we're starting to talk about the possibility of having kids, but he has some concerns. I was a bit promiscuous in the past, and he's worried about the DNA those men still present in my womb, and therefore might contaminate our child. He says that he read a study that claimed DNA from an adult male reproductive cells can linger in your body for up to 25 years. If he's correct, is there anything that can be done to remedy it? Edit, to add, this has been a source of a lot of fights and can't seem to be forgiven, saying that I poisoned our future child. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk? Poisoned child or not poisoned child?
Not the jerk. This does not seem very scientific. I haven't done an in-depth look. From a cursory Google search, it seems like there were some studies that posited that as like a possibility, but they have absolutely no scientific backing, just pure speculation. Just dump him.
So, the thing is that male reproductive cells don't live for very long. They can live up to 7 days in utero, and once that timeline elapses, they aren't alive anymore. And as for DNA material, that's going to be swept out with them. And I imagine once the uterine lining is also shed, that those cells are going to be shed as well. I can't imagine that there's much of a chance that they would stick around and contaminate. And then on top of that, the DNA comes from the egg and the cell, right?
Yeah, so it would have to like modify the egg cell or something like that, which it doesn't make any sense. And so, I mean, I think you have bigger issues here, though, OP. The way he keeps like hounding you and demonizing you and saying you poison the future child. Like, is this someone you want to raise a kid with?
Yeah.
Is he going to hold this over your head if you actually had a child? Be like, oh, this child isn't really mine. It has the poison DNA of all your past partners.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's what's coming. Like, he's going to use this as an excuse to not take care of the child. He's going to use this as an excuse to abuse you in some way, shape, or form. And that's really what this feels like. It just feels like it's him aligning this up to be something bigger. Like, maybe eventually when you two have kids, he'll suddenly have an epiphany and be like, I'm sorry, I can't be with you anymore, and then go and kind of leave you as a single mother, right? Or he'll just use this as be like, threaten to leave you anytime something gets rough, and be like, I'll leave you, and that kid, that's not mine, or something like that. And then also, how will he treat the child? Is he going to treat the child fair or equitably?
Or is he going to be like, your mother poisoned you and or like, I just don't see this going well. I don't see this being a healthy, functional relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe you two can talk about things in therapy and work things out from there, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Maybe call in a biologist or something, like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know because people who have sincerely held beliefs that aren't based on facts, generally the facts won't make a difference to them because they'll claim that their facts are the right ones and that the other facts are the wrong ones.
Well, it's like as a last-ditch thing if you're trying to salvage this, because you cannot have a relationship as long as he clings to this belief. Like, you cannot have a healthy relationship. Yeah. You should not have children. So, like, that's just kind of like a last-ditch if you think he could possibly change his mind, but yeah.
Yeah, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Fast Loriani says, I'm more worried about the DNA your boyfriend would contribute to the baby. And Tiger Beat says, 50-50 shot the baby would be very unintelligent. And I think that's a little mean. All kinds of people have beliefs that don't necessarily align with the real world. It's just some people are susceptible to propaganda. Some people are susceptible to just some very odd belief systems, and that doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. It just means that the human condition is flawed, right? And Ratch MTL says, I mean, OP is also questioning whether he could be correct as well.
Well, but when you have someone who insists that something is true, like, and it's someone you trust, it can wear down your resolve and your rational thinking abilities.
I mean, cults exist, right?
Right.
I mean, cults, if you were to look at a cult from the outside, you would see it's very clearly an unhealthy type of situation. You can identify yourself what a cult is. But if you were a person on the street and someone like starts indoctrinating you into a cult, you might not be able to recognize it before it's too late.
Well, and they've actually done some research, and it tends to be that we have this assumption that only people who are less intelligent are more likely to be lured into cults, but that's not actually true.
Yeah.
It tends to be people who are more open and willing to think of other perspectives. Stuff like those are more like the type of things that lure people in. So.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have things that are missing in their lives, and they're looking for explanations, and sometimes people will find something that it all clicks, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's right or wrong, it'll click and it'll make sense to them. And we don't like people, we as people do not like to question our beliefs, because when you've built your house on, on a stack, when you've built your card house up, right, it can be toppled very easily if you remove one card. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult for people to see their worldviews crumble like that. Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for taking my daughter's gaming gadgets away because she is not working? My daughter asked me to post here to get an opinion, as I don't think that I've done anything wrong. I'm a 55-year-old female, and I have a daughter, a 29-year-old female, Alex. Alex has been in a relationship with her partner for 5 years, and they live together. However, recently Alex moved in with us as the roof in their old place collapsed, and due to this, they have ended their rent agreement early and are now looking for a new place. Alex is also paying a portion of our rent and bills and has her own room, but works in the dining room as her own room doesn't have space for a desk. Since she has been living with us, she moved all of her toys, gaming consoles, and laptop with her, and on more than one occasion I have noticed her gaming instead of working. I have made comments about it, but she said that her work is really quiet at the moment and she has nothing to do while she's waiting. Plus, it helps her to relax. She would also take ages to come to the dining room for dinner, and when I asked her what she was doing, Alex would say that she was playing a game, and she didn't see a problem in her delay since the food is still not ready. I don't like Alex in the kitchen, as she always makes too much of a mess and makes very smelly food. So I have told her that while she is under my roof, I will be handling the cooking. All of this has been bothering me and making me think that she is addicted to gaming. Plus, all of her toys are taking way too much space. So yesterday, while Alex was on a cinema and gym date with her partner, I have collected all of her consoles, games, and laptop and gave them to my other daughter and her son, since she can't afford to buy a lot of nice things for my grandchild. Alex came home before me, and after I returned, I saw her in tears with her boyfriend trying to calm her down. When I asked her what was wrong, she said that she believes that we were robbed as all of her tech is missing. That's when I told her that I gave it away as she was spending too much time gaming instead of working and is clearly an addict. Alex ended up shouting at me, calling me a jerk and saying I don't understand what I've done, and if I don't return her toys, she will file for theft since it cost more than $5,000 to replace it all and she doesn't have that kind of money. She also mentioned that it helps her with her depression and anxiety, but I can't remember her being diagnosed with any of that. She also has packed all of her things and left to stay with her boyfriend and his mother. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not only are you the jerk, but you're also a criminal, OP. Like, these were not your possessions. I hope your daughter does file a police report to get them back.
OP, I have a secret for you. You're a felon. And that's not a good thing. Being a felon's a bad thing.
Like, giving birth to someone does not mean you are entitled to do what you want with their possessions indefinitely. She is a paying tenant. She is a full-grown adult.
Yeah. I love how OP, so like, oh, she pays rent, but I feel like she's addicted to video games. So I took away her stuff. Like, would you do this to any other tenant?
And I think we know legally that's illegal, and the fact that you gave birth to her does not change that.
Like, our landlord doesn't just walk into our house, say, this looks pretty good for me to take it and then leave, right?
Yeah,
because that would be stealing.
Oh, Brian and Amber, you're spending too much time on the computer recording Brian's advice. We're gonna go take this now.
Yeah. So I think that this is really a matter of a crime, OP.
Yeah.
You need to get that stuff back ASAP and give it back to your daughter and apologize because what you did was just completely wrong.
And hope that your daughter hasn't wiped all her important stuff, especially the laptop is going to have all kinds of other stuff potentially too.
Yeah,
And I know Opie's like, oh, she says in the comments, well, it's just her personal laptop, not her work laptop. But like, I imagine she stores all kinds of things like photos and other things on her personal laptop.
Well, and if she knows that her sister took it, then she can probably give her sister a call and explain the situation. And hopefully OP's other daughter is a little more reasonable when it comes to these kinds of things and be like, yeah, by the way, mom stole all my stuff and gave it to you. That wasn't hers to give away.
Yeah, or at least she can be motivated to give it back by not wanting to be an accomplice to a crime.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, it would be nice to resolve this without the police getting involved if at all possible.
Of course.
But short of that, yeah, OP, the police will come. They will take the stuff and they will give it back to her. That's how these kinds of things work. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck not spending time in jail. And Endless Morpheus 7 says, you're the jerk, and I hope that she reports it as theft and sues you in small claims court. What do you think gives you the right to touch her stuff? I hate parents like you that think that they have a right to touch their kids' property. What is wrong with you? Also, taking her laptop that she needs for work. You are just jealous because she doesn't have to work as hard as you, and vindictive on top of all of that. Get her property back. I hope she goes no contact with you. And OP replies, I didn't give away her work laptop. She has that. I gave away the one which she uses for gaming. And I Like Mushy says, so what? And OP replies, she's an adult and she needs to grow up. She can't spend forever gaming and should start thinking about more important things. Like getting on the property ladder, travel or promotions. I love this for a second, right? She can't afford another $5,000 gaming setup, right? Let alone a down payment on a house.
Yeah, like just, and it's just so frustrating. These parents who want their kids to live by their standards. Like, spoiler alert, OP, your daughter is not a mini version of you. She doesn't have to hit the milestones that you want her to.
Yeah.
She can spend all her free time gaming if she wants.
Yeah, and I think that's really what's important here is she's living her life in a way that's meaningful to her and important to her, and she doesn't need you to tell her how to do that. She's an adult. She's been an adult for a long time.
And stop gatekeeping adulthood. You don't have to have a house or travel to be an adult.
Yeah. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
What did the cucumber say to the pickle?
Well, I can tell you exactly what the cucumber said to the pickle. It looked inside the jar as the pickled cucumbers floated in there and said, oh my goodness, what is this place? What is this place? It's a nightmare!
You mean a great deal to me.
Oh, yes, they might say that too. And I have Mega Mint.
And I am planning my Halloween costume lineup, so if you have any suggestions, let me know.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday. I hope it's going well for you. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of a Cat in the Hat poem.
Oh, the places you will go down the internet rabbit hole to find the mother you were denied by the king and queen of horrible lies.
Ooh, I like it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!